What would you say is a great spy movie from the 80s?
What's up, everybody? So, my answer to the previous question is the movie Gotcha, which came out in 1985, starring Anthony Edwards and Linda Fiorentino. Now, the premise of the movie, if you'd have no idea what it's about, it kind of takes this interesting turn and you don't know where it's going to go. It's basically Anthony Edwards' character. He's a pretty rich, spoiled college kid, and he wants to take a trip toward to visit Europe for the summer with one of his friends. And so he does so, and unexpectedly gets caught up in CIA espionage. Now, keep in mind, this is during the Cold War, so it's Russian intelligence, it's CIA, it's a lot of stuff going on. Now, to kind of add a bit of a layer to that, which is always kind of fun, is that you're introduced to his character because he plays this game called Gotcha on his campus where he is basically using a paintball gun, which you can see he's holding in the poster, and he gets a name from. They don't really go into how it all is, but he gets a name and he has to shoot them with a paintball gun. And he's very, very good at it, and he finds ways to do it that is very sneaky and very creative. Now, that comes into play in an interesting way in the final act of the movie. But what's really interesting, as I said, is like you don't know where it's going. You just see him begging his parents to get money to go to Europe. He's begging his dad to borrow his very, very expensive, apparently, Nikon. The father is very, very particular about referring to it not just as a camera but as a Nikon, and then using that to take pictures during his trip. And then at some point he meets Linda Fiorentino, who comes across as just some very beautiful, seductive woman from Czechoslovakia. Ends up she's not. She is a CIA spy from the States, and she uses him to basically be the carrier of this film. At one point, you see they meet up in a subway train, and then as she's giving him a hug and he's wearing a backpack, she sneaks the film into his bag. And so when she does get caught by the enemy, doesn't really specify whether it's Russians or not, when they search her, she doesn't have it on her. And he doesn't even know he has it on him until way later. I think even towards the end of the movie, when he gets back home from the States and he kind of goes through his bag, that he finds the film and he's like, what is this? And so, anyways, whoever it is, whether it's the Russians, I believe it's the Russians, they make their way to the States because they figure out that he has the intelligence that he's carrying. And so they go after him. And the way in which he kind of finds his way to kind of be free of them and, transfer them over to the proper authorities is this really interesting and kind of fun chase that happens on his college campus. Now, because he knows his college campus from forward and backwards, because of the gotcha game, he's able to evade them and eventually lead them to the authorities, let's say. And it's really, really kind of fun because so much of this is happening almost in real time. Like you're on the journey with Anthony Edwards' character. You're as clueless as he is, with the exception of a couple of moments here and there, i.e., the train moment where she sneaks the film into his bag, or when she's being searched. But most of the time, you have no idea what's really going on and why he's being chased. And the other part is like he's really great at using his resources, like I said, with the college campus and even with his friend that he goes to Europe with. I believe his name is Manolo. I could be totally wrong about that one. I'm kind of blanking. But his friend is Mexican American and has some affiliation with a gang in LA. And so as he's trying to escape everyone that is chasing him, because even the authorities are chasing him before they kind of figure out that he's on their side, in order to evade them, to put his plan into action, there's that moment where he gets in the car with his friend and he says, are you still a homeboy? And his friend looks at him and says, you still a white boy? And then he uses his gang member friends from the past to kind of run interference and make things difficult so that he can actually get to a point where he is in control of the situation. And like I said, it's a whole lot of fun. There's really, really interesting, kind of like, oh, I guess that's what the CIA does. At least that was my impression of it when I saw it as a kid. And it's not really important what the intelligence is. The important thing is the chase and how he is getting away from the people who are chasing him, even though he doesn't know who is who and why they're chasing him. But eventually, even though he doesn't figure it out, he gets clear of everything and he's able to just kind of find peace and kind of be with the girl. It's not really clear at the very end. But anyways, what about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.